All right, so y'all know, I got strong opinions, and I got a lot of flack for this one on the podcast, but I want to go ahead and we got to talk about this woman. Got to talk about her.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my.
This is Brielle Belly. She's been going viral. She's been getting, large media publications to talk about her story, her plight, her video, whatever. This is chronically online. Young woman just graduated from college. Hey, let me tell you something. I've been saying this for a long time. The COVID kids need help. The COVID kids need help. And I'm being serious. There's gonna be a lot of struggle for a lot of people coming out of COVID. However, I am directed at the youth. I'm looking at ACT scores. I'm looking at SAT scores. I'm talking criminally low. I'm talking huge declines in ACT scores and SAT scores. Look at this. Average composite score on the ACT dropped for the sixth straight year from 19.8 for the class of 2022 to 19.5 for the class of 2023. Now, it's been declining, but come on, man. Articles, fewer high school students ready for college about the ACT. ACT scores fall to the lowest levels in 32 years. Look at this. SAT scores are on the same. So, like, the youth are struggling. And she is a youth that's coming out of college. She said her first job, corrected herself and said first 9 to 5 job. But I'm assuming first job out of college. And she's not ready. And she's complaining on the internet. And I empathize with her, but I got some tough news.
Oh my god. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But like I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet like a guy? I don't know. Like how do you have time for like dating? Like I don't have time for anything, and I'm like so stressed out. And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
Yeah, you are dramatic. You are extremely dramatic. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to what people have been dealing with for a long time. I think it is messed up, but you're talking about how do I find friends? How do I date? How do I go to the gym? How do I do all these things? People have been doing it for a long time. And I'm sorry to say this. Sometimes you got to go through struggle. Hell, a lot of times, unless you're born into privilege, you have to go through struggle in order to get to a place of comfortability. The world sucks. Hey, the world sucks. I don't know if I don't want to get too political on here, but y'all know my affiliations or how my belief system is set up. Capitalism is not the best to me. I ain't gonna lie to you. All these things are ass. However, you have the opportunity to create and put yourself in a situation that is better than it is today. Like you just have that opportunity. There's light. And I don't even necessarily mean by starting some business, starting some whatever, creating content, all these things like that. Although she has a platform already, so she could just, monetize that more. But I'm talking about working your way through jobs, building yourself up, learning the right career path, and then finding some happiness and stability there. But even the idea of like having the mentality to get on the internet and complain about this is crazy. It's crazy to me.
Here's my comment to your article about me. I'm not talking about my job in general. My job, I'm one of the lucky postgrads that got a job in my field, which is marketing, after college. I know so many postgrads that have been searching for upwards of a year and they still can't find a job in their field, and they have hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. Okay, let's get that out of the way. It took me 5 months to get my job. It took me 5 months of sending out hundreds of applications every single day, probably. I probably have 10,000 applications out there, and I heard back from one employer, and that's the employer I work for now. I had to.
That's on you, dog. I hate to be that person. Through my experience, from what I know, recruiters are looking to hire people. Their jobs depend on it. Jobs are actively hiring. People are depending on your labor. The way that America is built is it is built on the backs of your labor. They need your labor. This whole concept of I've sent out so many jobs.
Had to move for that job. I had to move to New Jersey because I can't afford to live in New York. The job was set in.
The idea of like I had to put out so many things, I haven't gotten the callbacks or whatever. When are you gonna investigate the things that you could possibly be doing better? And there's two sides to each coin. I think people with good resumes, good soft skills, good interview skills, good all these things do have hard times looking for jobs. In my personal experience, people be going on Indeed and doing the quick apply and wondering why they're not getting called back. People go into these recruiters and can't look them in their eye and can't hold a conversation for not a damn thing. People have nothing on their resumes. Their resumes have so many flaws, like that even handing it to somebody that is credible isn't going to get you anywhere, right? You're not doing the next step and going out and trying to find the recruiter. You're just complaining. I don't know. You're just complaining. You're truly just complaining. I do sympathize with her, empathize with her on the idea of like, I had to move out of New York in order to get this job because it was too expensive. New York is crazy expensive. New York is insanely expensive. I don't know if it's beneficial for you to be there for your job. I don't know if you were born there. I don't know, whatever the case may be. If you were born there, maybe look at that moving in with your parents. Roommating it up, because that's what a lot of New Yorkers do historically or whatever. New York is just insanely expensive. Now that's something that's like people should strike about that, burn the streets down, all that stuff. New York is outrageous when it comes to pricing. I do agree there wholeheartedly. Full stop.
New York, and I immediately had to move, or else I knew that I wasn't going to get my foot in the door if I waited any longer. My commute is 2 hours there and 2 hours back. I said 6:15 earliest, and I sometimes get back at 7:30. It really just depends on the train that day. So I'm just one worker. I shouldn't represent everybody because I don't even have half the struggles that most people do. Most people have kids and animals. Imagine me leaving a dog or a kid at home from 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night. That's animal and child abuse, but I have to work, so there's nothing I can do about it. My job in general, I am so extremely thankful that my employer actually decided to reach back out to me, because a lot of them don't, because they don't want to train a college graduate, and that's the problem. Postgrads are having so much fucking difficulty finding a 9-to-5, and then when we do get thrown into a 9-to-5, we don't know how to handle it, because one, college doesn't set us up for that type of schedule. It's not a normal schedule that a human should be on anyway, so your body isn't used to that. We were all...
What's a normal schedule for a human? And I get it, we're just chatting at this point. What's a normal schedule for a human?
During COVID, we all had to go remote. So my high school was remote and part of my college was remote.
That's part of the
Obviously, I'm
problem
not
right
used to working a 9-to-5 schedule because I'm not used to being anywhere from 9 to 5 during the day. I can't even imagine the working parents out there, and like I give so much.
Let me pause right. I hear her there. No, I do hear her there. Again, the COVID thing has messed up people, warped realities, minds, all that stuff like that. This is to the upbringing too. I think parents should do better jobs of raising their kids to get them more acclimated to real life situations. But you're right. The way that she went to school has affected people. The pandemic when the documentaries come out, when you start to actually talk to real life people, especially the youth and stuff like that, it's a hard time. It's a hard time transitioning into bigger moments in life, and everybody's had to go through it. Everybody's had to go through it. Some of these things are pretty basic stuff, though. There's long commutes all the time. The idea that this entry level thing, you're supposed to have it all figured out, you're not. I started my first entry level job in tech in corporate in January. I don't expect to go in there and have anything figured out. I expect to be pretty bad for the first 6 months to a year, to be honest with you. I just expect to get better every single day. That's all it can be. But in reality, that is everything in life. Everything in life that you start new, I expect to be bad at everything. At everything. There are people that are blessed, fortunate enough to get mentorships or have resources and stuff like that to do it. But in reality, you just expect to be bad. Like that's just what it is. I expect to be bad at stuff. I expect to be bad at anything that I take on. I just expect to also be better the next day than I was the day before, even if it's marginally better. Some days I might slide back, but that's just what it is. But because she is a part of a generation of people whose first thought is to always turn to the internet with their problems, and then not take the steps to do things, that's why there's problems with this to me. Granted, venting is venting, and we've just decided to do this thing about venting on the internet. But if venting doesn't have action behind it, then it just stays that. And it does what?
Much grace to them, because it's incredibly hard in America to be emotionally and mentally stable when your days are structured like that. So pretty much what I'm saying is that yes, America needs to reform the 9-to-5 schedule, because it's not fair that the only people that are benefiting are the people that either run the corporations and can make their own schedules. So they just pile on the work to people that are less fortunate, or people that are just extremely rich, or influencers that don't have to work a regular schedule. So that's my comment. If you would have given me a little bit more time, I would have thought about my answer and then I would have responded. So I'd appreciate if you put this in your article and stop trying to find where I work.
There it is. Now I don't agree with them trying to find out her working. There, yeah. Take time, breathe, relax, and get your full thoughts out there. And the way that the internet works, especially, she doesn't have a small platform. You have a platform. Like, you do have a platform. Like, what are we doing, bro? Take time to think about what you're saying. Is what I'm saying unique? Try to find actual solutions. Try to find actual action that you can put into place to help you. If you didn't want this to get out, your account would have been private. I'm a personal believer in that. It's just social media. Like, it is what it is. This idea that influencers they just have all this time in the world is crazy. They just get to pick a different time that may work best for them. But to be honest with you, it's still time. That's just the way that I feel. Influencers put in that type of work too. It might not be at 9, but it might be at 10. And if you want a 10 to 5, 10 to 6 or whatever, find a 10 to 5, 10 to 6. Find you something different. Now that you are in and you have some stain on you, now you have a little breathing room on you or whatever the case may be. What are you doing on your train rides home? We're talking about tangible things that can make your life better at this point. I think the system is broken. It's a big system to take on. And we can all continue to talk about it. Those continue to do the legwork. But what are you doing today to make your situation better? You got 4 hours of trying to get from place to place. And it doesn't sound like you're actually driving. What are you doing in that time? I could remember making these long commutes and I had to drive. Shit, I was doing stuff at this time. I know about working long extended hours. I was doing stuff during these times. So what are you doing in order to make your situation better today? I think that's the bigger picture. I think she was overreacting. She admitted that she was overreacting. I think she was overreacting, though, to the situation at hand. You control much more than you think you do. Life is hard. The system is hard. I'm not taking it away. It's unfair. It's unjust. It's all that. I would love for there to be reform. I would love for things to change. However, what are you doing today to make that reform happen for you, that change happen for you today? Simple. It's as simple as that to me.